We like to think of churches as places of safe sanctuary and comfort. However, there have been mysterious events and phenomena taking place in and around churches, which still remain unexplained. Number 5. The disappearance of Father Baranski. Father Heinrich Baranski was brought from Poland to Bradford, England to replace the Catholic chaplain for the area's 1,500 Polish residents. The previous chaplain, Canon Boleslav Martinellis, was extremely bitter about his demotion. Father Baranski had served for 10 months when he took an obscure telephone call on the night of July the 13th, 1953. Although speaking in Polish, he was heard by his housekeeper to finish the call by saying, "All right, I go." Baranski then left without any belongings and was never sighted again. At that time, many of the Bradford's Polish community were refugees from their communist homeland. Agents from the Polish secret police were known to operate locally, and Father Baranski had outspoken anti-communist beliefs. Canon Martinellis' anger about Baranski usurping his position was known. Having already tried to meet with Baranski, Martinellis was suspected of helping communist spies to lure Baranski out of his home to be kidnapped and exterminated. Martinellis, who denied involvement, claimed a month later that he had been assaulted and warned to stay silent by 2 strangers. He passed of a heart attack 2 years later, while Father Baranski's disappearance still remains a mystery. Number 4. The Rothwell Bone Crypt. In 1700, a hapless gravedigger working inside the medieval Holy Trinity Church in Rothwell, England, found himself falling some 12 feet through the floor. In the darkness, he discovered a hidden room, stacked with human skulls and bones. Legend has it that the shock of this sight caused the man to lose his mind, and he never recovered his sanity. The subterranean charnel chapel, now known as the Bone Crypt, is packed with the unidentified skeletal remains of about 2,500 people, as well as animals. Now sorted and organised into shells for tourism, the origin of the bones is still a dark mystery. One theory suggests that the remains are those of plague victims, while another claims that there were soldiers who perished during the nearby Battle of Naseby in 1645. The latest theory is that the church graveyard became overcrowded and the bones were transferred to the crypt on 2 occasions in the 13th century and later the 16th century, when the adjacent Jesus Hospital was established on a burial ground. Scientists intend to use carbon dating and DNA analysis to identify these deceased individuals. Meanwhile, the perplexing mystery of the Bone Crypt remains. Number 3. The Ghost of St. Mark's. Historic St. Mark's Episcopal Church, built in 1868 in Cheyenne, Wyoming, is rumoured to have a resident ghost with strange origins. When the construction of a new tower for the church was planned in 1886, 2 Swedish stonemasons were hired for the work, but mysteriously both went missing, meaning that the tower was not completed until 1927. Concurrently, strange unexplained events started occurring in the church, as well as sightings of a frighteningly ghostly presence. Builders doing repair work were often too spooked to finish jobs, and were even permitted to build a private room for the ghost to inhabit. Many years later, Reverend Eugene Todd, who was a St. Mark's pastor, found a surprising explanation for these supernatural phenomena. He attended a nursing home in Denver where an elderly dying resident had requested confession with him. The man admitted to being one of the 2 Swedish stonemasons who had mysteriously disappeared while working on the church decades before. He claimed that the other stonemason had tragically fallen in the unfinished bell tower. Terrified that he would be blamed for the other worker's death, he decided to entomb the body beneath cement within an uncompleted wall section before fleeing the town. Although the missing stonemason's body was never recovered, many people believe the old man's story and hold that the missing man's spirit haunts the church. Number 2. Papua New Guinea UFO sightings. In 1959, a venerated Anglican priest called Father William Gill was serving as a missionary in the village of Boyanai in Papua New Guinea. On 2 evenings in April and June, when standing outside his church, he observed an unusual light moving across a distant mountain. The second sighting was shared by many other witnesses who realised as the light moved closer to them that it was a huge disc-shaped object which seemed to have 4 large legs underneath it. There also appeared to be 4 extraterrestrial figures moving about on the craft's upper deck. The strange object disappeared after 45 minutes but returned an hour later, surrounded by other glowing flying objects. The objects hovered around for 4 hours, then again disappeared. But the main craft and 2 smaller UFOs returned yet again on the following night. This time, Father Gill and another witness tried waving at the alien figures on the craft's deck and were astonished when the beings waved back. They seemed to be repairing the craft. The following evening, a total of 8 UFOs appeared to the villagers, and a loud metallic banging sound was heard on the mission's roof. On later inspection, no sign of any damage was found, and the flying objects were not seen again. Father Gill and over 3 dozen witnesses verified this incident, which remains one of the most credible UFO sightings on record. Number 1. Choir's miraculous survival. On the evening of March 1st, 1950, the West End Baptist Church in the small city of Beatrice, Nebraska, was completely destroyed by a massive explosion. The explosion itself was caused by a natural gas leak and therefore not a mystery. However, the incredible circumstances that spared the lives of the 15 people who should have been at the church were nothing short of miraculous. The church choir was, as always, scheduled to gather for practice at 7:20 p.m. on the evening of the explosion. The dedicated singers were fanatical about punctuality, but bizarrely, all 15 of them were delayed that night. Strangely, but happily, none of them had actually arrived at the church when it exploded at 7:27 p.m. The choir director and a daughter, the church pianist, had planned to arrive 30 minutes early that evening. However, the daughter fell asleep, delaying them both. The church reverend and his wife were held up after their daughter spilled food on her dress. 2 choir members found their cars just wouldn't start. Other members were hindered by seemingly mundane delays caused by writing a letter, catching the end of a radio show, and completing homework. Even one member living across the road from the church was late. In the end, the life of every single choir member was saved by what seemed fortuitous coincidences, or perhaps an act of divine intervention.